I'm joined now by Alyssa Ridgway, who is a junior track runner here at Marist College. Now, Alyssa, you grew up in Hyde Park, just so close to Marist, just up the road from here. What was the decision to come to Marist? Did you always know that Marist was the school for you?
I actually did know that Marist was always a choice for me. I was always here as a kid, going to the sports games, and even being on the river, just what made me decide Marist.
Was that something too, just like the beauty of the campus you always kind of gravitated to? Because Marist does get that a lot, so I'm curious if that's something that kind of drew you here.
Especially like being here all my life, like prior to it, like Marist was not as beautiful as it is now, and now that it's so upgraded and stuff, it like made me like officially wanted to go to Marist.
Okay. Was that kind of like a dream when you were a young girl, or was it something that just sort of came together as you grew up? You always grew up close to the campus, but was it a dream you always had, or was it something that just came to fruition once you got to the upper levels of high school?
Definitely when I got to upper levels of high school, like I definitely fell more for Marist, but as a kid, like I didn't really know. I just enjoyed coming here and going to the games.
College wasn't necessarily something you were thinking about at that point, but you were always around it, for sure. So if I'm correct, Marist was the only D1 track program that you applied to.
Yes.
Is that correct? So if you hadn't gotten to Marist or you hadn't come to Marist and you went somewhere else, what do you think that would have meant for your track career? Do you think you would have kept running, or would that have been it for running track?
Honestly, that would have been it. Prior to coming here, I wasn't going to run track. I was just coming for the academic side of it, but I knew a coach that ran for Marist, and he actually got me into track, and I actually enjoy continuing it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome for sure. So obviously COVID had a big impact last year in your sophomore season, seriously limiting competitions and training. So what did you do during that time to kind of stay ready, stay focused for when the opportunity did come again for you to get back out on the track and run in competition again?
Well, last year with COVID, it was definitely hard. We had to practice. We only practiced 3 days a week, and it was probably for a half hour because we have such a big team that we had to like separate it into different groups. We were only allowed 10 people at a time so that we were able to social distance, which honestly it gave me more time to focus on my like academic side of it, but it like kind of had an effect on our like ability to run later in track meets, because we at the end of the season we did have 3 meets, even though like it was restricted and stuff. Like I felt like I wasn't as ready because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that because you still had those meets, do you think that you could have done much better had it been a normal season, had it been something where you could have gone through the training, you could have done stuff on your own continually throughout the season?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. So speaking of doing stuff on your own, Marist obviously doesn't have a track on campus. You guys have to bus or take a van to get to the track that you guys actually train at. Do you feel like that's a hindrance on you as an athlete, the fact that you do have to go so far just to practice?
Definitely, because we do go to Vassar's track 3 times a week, and that is about a 15-minute drive, so that is taking that time out of our practice, and that's hindering our ability to get better at our sport.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel limited too by the fact that, you know, if you have free time, you can't just go down to the track and run? You know, you have to actually go and drive somewhere. Is that something where it's like, you know, the convenience of having a track on campus you don't have? So do you think that's a big factor in the amount of individual training that you do outside of team practices?
Definitely, because like, yeah, we can run on campus and stuff, but as a sprinter, like, you need a track. You need to be able to like, measure out the distance you're gonna run. Like, you can build up your agility by running around campus, but like building up your speed, you're not really gonna do that around campus. So definitely we need to go to a track.
Absolutely. And Marist did put in that indoor track in the McCann Center. Do you get to use that at all, or is that not really practical?
We do get to use it, but it's not very practical because it is only a 120-meter track, and for sprinters, again, the edges are very squared, so it does hurt our legs as much as others.
For sure.
But
For sure. And my last question here, as you go into this next year, this next season, are there any personal goals that you've set for yourself as you go into your junior season here?
yes, I do set a goal of jumping farther. I am a long jumper on the track team, so I practice basically extra than what everyone else is doing. So I meet on Tuesdays and Wednesdays later at night with a coach, and we'll do long jump because that's my goal, is to jump farther than I had before.
Sure, definitely. That's great. Alyssa, thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you again sometime soon, hopefully.